Brownfields are idle, vacant, or blighted sites marred by contamination concerns. EPA's Brownfields program is designed to empower states, communities, and other stakeholders in economic redevelopment to work together in a timely manner to prevent, assess, safely clean up, and sustainably reuse brownfields.
Every community has the abandoned corner gas station, or the old refinery, or the former textile mill, or the outdated wastewater treatment plant that's just sitting there vacant. The Brownfield program provides a stepping stone for communities to redevelop and bring those sites back into productive reuse.
Since the early days of the state and federal Brownfields programs, the City of Tallahassee has been at the forefront, obtaining more than $2 million in federal Brownfields grants and awards since 1997, more than any other city or county in the state.
That $400,000 grant was designed to help us find where the brownfields are, or the worst ones were in our community. And some of them were located right here on Gaines Street where we are, especially Wanish Way and Gaines Street.
In 1998, the City of Tallahassee created the Community Redevelopment Agency. And actually there are two districts. There's a downtown district and a south side district. Both of those districts overlap here on Gaines Street. That also overlays the Brownfield area.
The city was a part of a partnership with a private developer to create the site that's now known as the Marriott on Gaines Street, which is a very successful site.
The city successfully leveraged funds to facilitate the synergy that we see now in the extensive construction and redevelopment along the Gaines Street corridor, an area that was once an underused industrial sector lined by warehouses, petroleum distribution facilities, lumber yards, and stockyards.
Over $6.4 million was spent on the area to upgrade water, sewer, electric, and gas infrastructure.
The city's investment of its own funds, coupled with the successful partnership with the business owners, we were able to make a very successful application to the EPA for grant funding, which allowed us to assess the level of contamination on various properties in the Gaines Street corridor. Then we also received a remediation grant, which allowed us to do the cleanup and seek regulatory closure on several pieces of property.
The city partnered with the Tallahassee Community Redevelopment Agency to apply for the Revolving Loan Fund grant.
And that grant's important because it allows us to loan funds to business owners and developers who have property in the Gaines Street corridor, which will assist them with the cleanup of the property and then allow for the return to the community for a higher and greater use.
An RLF loan can be a key component of project financing, assisting with readying properties for redevelopment.
In 2007, Andy Miller, the president and CEO of Seminole Boosters, contacted me and basically said, look, we've got 20 to 30 acres of property that surrounds the stadium that's used 6 or 7 weekends a year for game day parking. There's got to be a better way. And so we sat down and spent basically a year studying and developing a business plan for these 20 or 30 acres. And from that, the idea of College Town was born. But the idea, going from idea to fruition, is a big step. And there were a lot of partnerships, public and private, that had to take place and are still taking place to make what you see behind me a reality.
From a development perspective, it's pretty risky to develop in an area with contamination, but the Brownfield program gave both the CRA and our development partners the confidence to develop in this area and make the difference that you see now.
The city and the CRA worked with the Seminole Boosters and with FSU to help us mitigate some of the risk. And it was enough to where we went forward. And once we went forward here at College Town and Gaines Street was well underway, the rest of the private sector responded in spades. And so if you drive up and down Gaines Street and Madison Street today, you see well in excess of $100 million in projects that are nearing completion, and there's another $100 million in the wings waiting to come. And it would not have happened if not for those key public-private partnerships.
The real benefit of having a revolving loan fund grant is you keep that money in circulation in the community. So as we find properties, those properties are cleaned up, and then they're starting to contribute in terms of economically, then as those loans are repaid, then we can then fund other projects. And so the funding, by being a revolving loan fund, you can kind of keep that money in circulation, and it can have a benefit for multiple years.
Because we've been able to contribute just over $2.9 million to redevelopment in this area through both the Gain Street project and then the various construction projects, that's been able to support and complement EPA's work in managing the brownfields and contributing to the cleanup. We have over $200 million in private investment in this area since 2007.
So having some funding readily available could incentivize the development in a timeline that's consistent with what we're trying to do down here. The Revolving Loan Fund allows us to facilitate private development, which then fuels the economic engine of this community.
Tallahassee's Brownfields program has kickstarted a revitalization for key areas of town, capitalizing on resources to create dynamic community spaces, changing the face of our great city.
It's critical to the redevelopment of this community, our vision to create walkable communities, 18-hour downtowns.
An area that is active and vibrant, that supports businesses in a growing community.
And now we're starting to see people come to us and make investments in this area on their own.